What's up, Peoria? How y'all doing, man? I'm your host, Mark Supreme. This is RapPolitics, the first Monday after the Soul Fest, and we're gonna get to that because it was definitely smacking. But of course, we got to get to the sponsors, and of course, RapPolitics is brought to you by Sherman's, where they carry the best in furniture, mattresses, and appliances, and they're also hiring if anybody need a job. Sherman's one of the few places left in town that doesn't care about your education. They just promote people that work hard, have a good attitude, and follow their core values. One of the few places that hard work gets recognized and gets you ahead. You can log on to shermanscareers.com to check it out and check out the openings and apply online. And we're also brought to you by Terry Shepard, a real estate consultant whose values are rooted in customer care and service. She can help you negotiate your next deal and get you into a home that fits. She's with Remax Traders Unlimited, and she can be reached at 309-361-4592. And she's great. I use her myself as well. So if y'all seen anything on the book earlier, today we got the new chief of police here in Peoria, Illinois, as our featured guest today. So we're going to wrap with him very shortly. But I do want to highlight Soul Fest. Soul Fest was uber dope. Shout out to the Soul Fest committee. Big shout out to Kyle Bright, who for the first time since he's been on the committee, chaired the committee, brought in Tony, did it on a Friday. You know what I'm saying? We did our thing. And then Saturday, the Vibe Fest went crazy. Appreciate everybody that came out. Shout out to all the DJs that came out, did their thing. Scantron, Exclusive, Life is Good, DJ Mimic. Who else was out there? DJ Divide, DJ Spiller. And shout out to my co-host, the Ryan Lowry, also, one in charge of the Whispering Shout on the first Thursday of every month. So definitely did that. And let me tell y'all, man, I didn't know Tony has so many hits. I ain't know. Like, I knew the songs. I just didn't know they was theirs, though. Like, I didn't know it was they songs. Like, they definitely, hey, look, when I tell you they came out they shirts, you know what I'm saying? Like, they definitely did their thing, man. Tony earned every penny out here. You hear me? So, man, it was a good event for the community. Good to get that back out there and do some sense of normalcy, what we used to doing before the pandemic came and all that. So yeah, shout out to that weekend, man. I'm looking forward to everything that happened later on. So as I mentioned before, this RapPolitics episode features the new chief of police. You've probably seen him out in public at Soul Fest. You might have caught him at the Juneteenth event. I know he's been at other places as well too, just really ingratiating himself with the community and meeting everybody with the community. And I want to let everybody know too that during this interview, we will be taking audience questions. Y'all know how State of Peoria go. Y'all know how the mayoral miniseries go. So we're going to get it in that way. But I want to bring him in right now. The new chief of police was actually sworn in on my birthday of July 30th. We got Eric Echevarria. And I know I said it wrong. How I say the real way? How I say the real way?
Echevarria.
Hey, Echevarria.
Now you get some practice. We got a long time to talk.
Hey, I got it. So first off, man, you fresh off Soul Fest. You got to pop in for Soul Fest. How was it, man? You came in for Juneteenth as well too. You just been all over the community events, man. What's it been like as of the last couple of weeks?
Man, it's been great, to be honest with you. Not just for me, but for my wife and my son who have been with me at these events also. The community's done nothing but show love to us. It's been great. I know you was trying to compete with me on the sneaker game, and hey, I came in late on Soul Fest. Juneteenth, I came in a little stronger, but I'm gonna keep you on your toes.
Hey, pun intended, huh? Pun intended. Hey, look, I got some stuff for you, man. I was going through my boxes early, man. So next time it's a public event, man, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be ready for you.
All right.
Ready. For the people that don't know, man, we just want to break it down and really understand. It's a new transition we're going through with just city government, and also now obviously with the police. For the people watching, man, who is Eric Echevarria?
That was close. Man, I'm a 47-year-old Puerto Rican male from Elgin, Illinois. I grew up there. I had 22 and a half years of police service in that city. It's a city that's very, if you know Elgin and you know where it's located, very similar to Peoria, similar in demographics, similar in size. It's just, very similar in those things. The land size is a little bit smaller. Peoria is a little bit more spread out. But that's who I am. I'm a family man. I'm a Puerto Rican first before I put this uniform on. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a grandfather. All the above. I'm still finishing up my master's. I'm in my last class for my capstone, so I'm still working on that education also, even at my age. I think it's important. But again, just at the end of the day, I'm just a family man, a humble servant to this community, and I want to get out there and really get to know who everybody is and get to know the community and let them see me behind this uniform and know that I grew up in the same type of community that I'm in now.
Most def. So I'm gonna cut to the chase, man. You're here now. You're in Peoria. Peoria's labeled one of the worst cities for Blacks in America. Not too long ago, we had people moving out of the city in droves for what seemed like for months. It seemed like people were moving every other week. We were in the middle of the pandemic when you came, and I mean, to be honest, America in general, they ain't really rocking with police officers like that, especially since George Floyd. Why would you want to come take a job like this in a city like this?
Man, I understand that, and I get that. The first thing I'll say is policing has made mistakes, 100%. Nationwide, there's been issues that have come up. I'm a different type of police. I grew up in these same similar circumstances, don't come from a family with money, grew up in neighborhoods just like this. They didn't talk to me about college and having to go to school. When I was in school, that's why I went to the Marine Corps instead of going to college. That's why I'm finishing college now, right? My master's. But, this was a prime opportunity to come over here. I'm 47 years old. This isn't I tell people all the time, this isn't a pension gig. I got to come work for real. I got a family to support. And so I think, the skills and talents and gifts that I have been given fit very well with this community, the things that I've done. And I think, Peoria is really primed for change. And all the phone calls I got and the comments I got is everybody wants to come on board and be part of those spokes to make this wheel really work well. And I think Peoria is ready for that. And I think I'm ready to face that challenge head on. We're changing the narrative of what policing looks like.
And I was going to get to that a little bit later, but you brought it up, so we can get to that right now. When you say changing the narrative, and we've talked offline on several occasions, you always mention changing the narrative. What does that look like, and how do we do that?
Well, how many police chiefs do you see that look? I think in the Illinois alone, there's only 3 Latino chiefs, for that matter. And the way we're raised and the way we come up, I always tell people it's family, music, and religion, right? That's kind of the foundation of us. And I think we bring that into the job, and we bring that that family element, that connection, and that's the part that we want to connect. I don't think any chief could walk into this job in this city and really just walk anywhere into the community and kind of fit in. And I tell you, I feel like I fit in completely in the community. And I think that's what the kids in this community, the adult, can see somebody that looks like them, that can talk like them, that has lived this life like them, in a position of authority and in a position that's there to help them make some change. And it's all of us working together that's going to do it. This ain't going to be a one trick. It's not going to be, Eric Echevarria is in Peoria, everything is solved. No, I need the key stakeholders, the key people in place that we're going to work together. And I'm able to bring people together and do that and be open to that and not shy away from different ideas that may be unconventional. So looking for those unconventional new methods and ways to really police and solve the issues that we're facing.
And so, what specifically is there already put in place, whether it be in Peoria or anywhere else, kind of like a standard approach to policing? Would you like to change first and foremost?
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing that I changed already here is we no longer going to have a target offender unit. Okay, that name.
Explain that for people that don't know.
And that we got to be careful with the words that we choose, right? In policing, these men and women in this police department, I'll tell you from what I've seen and some of the work that I've seen are doing fantastic work. I've been out on some calls and I've seen some of the work they're doing. But when we use words in the leadership and decide to name a unit a certain way, well, who are we targeting, right? The question comes up for that. And so we need to really, words have strong meanings behind them, and we need to be careful with the words that we choose. And I don't choose under my leadership to have that word used in this department as a name of a unit. And so, just looking at things of that nature. Again, we have a resident officer program that I was part of. I did that for 9 years as a resident officer in the city I was at, and 3 years as a sergeant. And just building those relationships and being out in the community is what's really, really important. I think that's the difference that I bring, is that philosophy and those ideas of we need to be in the community. It's not a choice. Every officer at the Peoria Police Department is a neighborhood officer, not the ones that live in the community. Every single one of us have to have that mentality that when we go out there, we need to engage with our public, because that's what they deserve. We need to improve their quality of life by the ways of the things that we do to make sure things are good and really engage. I've met with several people from the community. I had a family come in today to my office, and to them, it was like, wow, the chief is meeting with me. They had tears in her eyes. And I said, this is what it's about. Come in and see me. I'm not in the corner office hiding out from the community. And you've seen it. I've been out in the community, and my family's been with me, been to numerous block parties, been to all kinds of events, and we'll continue to do that. But the officers and the staff of this department will continue to do that too. And I got to set that example first for them.
Most of that. And you bring up a good point as far as the narrative and terminologies used inside police departments. And one of the things that came up in recent years with everything going on, they're talking about what they can do inside the police department to change things. But a lot of people are suggesting that it's actually the police training that needs to be revamped. And of course, you don't have much to do with the actual police training on a day-to-day basis. But is there some institutionalized inaccuracies that need to be updated in your view when it comes to just the training of police officers before they get into the field, or just the amount of time that it takes to train a police officer, which some suggest that it's not long enough?
Yeah, no, I think there is there's definite value in that. Police have been tasked to do jobs they shouldn't do. When it comes to mental health, homelessness, and things of that nature. But we don't have the opportunity to say no. We have to go do it. Somebody's got to do it. And what ends up happening is these social service agencies and other agencies that maybe should be involved in doing some of these things are fighting for the dollar, or something else is going on. And then who ends up having to deal with it? The police, because somebody's still going to call 911, right? And I can't say no. We can't say, well, we're not responding to that. So we need training in de-escalation, in implicit, explicit bias, and mental health. But what we really need to do is get those key people into places. We need to have mental health workers working alongside police officers in our dispatch centers, et cetera. So yes, we do need to look at how we are policing and what are the other opportunities where somebody else can be handling something that necessarily the police don't need to handle.
And that's actually another question. So I'm gonna just follow you in this. But one of my questions was, like, do police officers need additional emergency responders along with them to where mental health folks can handle the mental health component, and then officers can take care of those situations that may get out of hand? But my first question with that is, how do we start to incorporate that? Is that something that can be done on a city level, with just bringing different agencies in? How do we make that happen? And also, how do we allow police officers to feel like they still have the wiggle room to do their job too?
No, I think it's just it's looking at these partnerships. I'll say this, the department I came from, we had mental health workers that would go out on the street. We partnered with those social service agencies or those mental health facilities that would partner with us, and they had office space in our department, and they had the ability to go out on calls. I think that's something that we need to look at. And venture again, it comes down to manpower and hiring and getting more people on the team. But those are the things we need to start looking at. I walked into our dispatch center here. That's a multi-jurisdictional center, and they have a mental health worker triaging calls now. And so we are on the right path. We need to continue that into the police department and look at how, instead of dispatching a mental health worker from somewhere else, let's have them here in the police department. Let's have them out on the street with us. And as those calls are being triaged, to say this is a mental health call, instead of maybe sending 2 officers, you're sending a mental health worker. Because at the same time, we need to still be secure. We need to be safe. We need to make sure that people are safe. And if it does get out of hand, we have the ability to intervene. And again, there's also looking at what training we are using and how we respond, and making sure officers have the right and appropriate equipment to respond, because that's the other aspect of that. We can train, but if we don't give them the proper equipment and the things that they need to go out there and be successful, well, they can't be successful without the proper equipment. So it encompasses, it has a lot of legs on it.
Right. And from a community standpoint, I know there's been a lot of Stop the Violence rallies and events held at different parks, and I was at one a couple of weeks ago. With everything that you're saying as far as changing the narrative and things like that, how can the community help the police officers in this endeavor when it comes to just making sure that police have what they need, but the community also is doing their part as well?
Right. Absolutely. Again, we're taking the first step. Under my leadership here and my philosophies is we have to take the first step to show you that we're transparent, to show you that we're legitimate, to show you that we mean no harm, but to come out and work in the communities and partner. And so I ask that the community meet us halfway, right? Hold me responsible to that. I ain't got no problem with that. Hold me responsible to that. We're going to meet you halfway. We need to conversate. We need to talk. I need to be get in front of those, and I keep saying this in these meetings that I've been in. There's a lot of talk, but we need to put some action into it. And I want to get in front of those shot callers that are in the street. There are people in the community who have the ear of those that are doing the things we don't want them to do, right? And there's more legitimacy to them than there is to us. And so on a street level, and we need to be able to get in front of them and just have some conversations, and we need to bring some peace to Peoria. And, like I said, we need to be unconventional. If that means I got to go meet with street leaders and people that know what's going on the street, then that's what it means. And have some dialogue and let's get some order on the street. There's been far too many shootings, one too many homicides, right? And we need to stop this violence and find outlets for those that are doing these things, whether it's through school, whether it's through sports, whether it's through music, whatever it is. And how are we part of that answer? And how does the community fit into this wheel of spokes that make the wheel, right? So we need all those spokes in place to really be able to get to the bottom of this and find an outlet for all these issues.
You mentioned homicides. We're circling around. I think it's 20 at this point.
20.
We still got 4 or 5 more months left of 2021. How do we begin to tackle this issue? Of course, we want everybody to stop the violence and probably buy back all the guns and just shut it down. And of course, we want to do a huge overhaul of the streets, as you mentioned. But how do we begin? How do we start to tackle this from your view?
And that's been kind of my thoughts. I actually have kind of a list that I made for myself of goals on how we look at this. And again, it's what I call all the spokes in place. It's not going to be one thing that's going to change this. It's going to be numerous things in place. Our community messaging, how we're gathering intel, our enforcement and prevention strategies, how we respond to the shootings, our operations, how are the investigations, how do we do that? What are our technology initiatives? Some type of maybe a gun buyback program. Our partnerships with outside agencies, our communication with the state's attorney's office, and then looking at ordinances. And again, on top of that, it's really, being transparent with our community and having conversations, getting out there and talking, being out in the community, being seen. Because you well know that if you walk down the street and somebody knows you that's about to do something, but they know you, you can talk to them and say, hey, hold on. I know your mama. I know your dad. Yeah. Right. And so those relationships mean something. And we need to start fostering that. But then again, it's having these other things in place, because you got the relationship, but now somebody's going to ask you for something. Hey, I want to really be in sports. How can I do this? And I don't have the money. There's no father in my house. It's just my mom. So you have all these other dynamics, right? Single parents, socioeconomic issues, and other things that drive some of these other situations. And so we need to have those key stakeholders in place to fill the gap.
I want to remind everybody that just tuned in to RapPolitics. Appreciate y'all tuning in collaboration with the Peoria Journal-Star. We got Chief of Police Eric Echevarria here today, and I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching and you got any questions for Eric, throw them in the comments. Y'all know how we go down. You know how we get down. We're going to get a segment here coming up in the next couple minutes where we can ask some audience questions. So be sure that if you got any questions, throw them in the comment box. We definitely going to get to them. But Eric, some say that if you want to reduce crime, you got to hire more officers. Some say that if you want to reduce crime, it's really an economic impact that is directly affecting the amount of crime that you have in the community. What do you say?
I don't think there's one answer to that. I think it's a combination of things. Again, when you look at, kids with idle time and you have a parent that has to work and there isn't somebody else there to babysit or watch the kids. Well, they start doing things they shouldn't be doing and going out and hanging out, right? And doing those other things. So, there is this socioeconomic issue, right? Where a parent has to work and they may not have the funds to pay for daycare. And so what happens? They're taking care of themselves. On the other hand, we also need more officers because when I say we need to interact, we need to have the time to interact. If we're responding to call, and I don't have free officers to be resident officers and neighborhood officers and school resource officers and all these officers that have an opportunity to really, as a job, more engaged more often. All I have is a bunch of officers running around call to call. And so we need a little bit of both. And we need to, again, Peoria is full of resources because in my week here so far, I've met with so many people. I met with today the 309 Punishers. It's a traveling football team and league that's right here that is doing it. It's a very low cost, but the low cost may not be low enough for some people. And so how do we get key stakeholders in the communities to support an organization like that to say they're picking up kids, they're showing them, coaching them to play football? There was just a story about them with a 13-year-old who's being picked up by a D1 school. And so how tremendous is that this organization is creating these athletes and giving them an outlet. And so we need to find people to support things like that and support these groups that are out there trying to make a difference. They're not just out there for the money, but really trying to find an outlet for our juveniles and for our kids. And then when we have young adults and adults who need jobs, there are jobs out here. There's places that can train them. How do we get those connections and put those things in place? I met with the Public Housing Authority. They have a resource center. How can we get training done in there and get companies like Caterpillar, OCF to get entry-level job trainings? And so let's get them out in the job market because they need to make some money to survive, right? Otherwise, they're going to find a different way to do that. So again, like I said at the beginning, it isn't just one solution. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of different avenues and stakeholders in place to really get it done. It's not just a police problem; it's a community issue.
And as I mentioned before, we got audience questions coming up next. I want to ask you this real quick, and you kind of alluded to it, but it's an ongoing question, and different people have different views. But to help community and police more so come together and kind of bridge that relationship, it takes both sides. And like you said, it starts with the police officers. But where do you think, in your view, that the distrust in the community for cops came from and is coming from as of late?
I think, like I said, we can look at the history of policing, right? We could talk about the history of policing and what we've seen in the past, the photos of police officers with the dogs and those things. And I think, again, we have to move away from that. And, can I apologize for all the harm that's happened in the past? Does it mean anything coming from me? But what I can do as a police chief for the Peoria Police Department is make sure that we are not doing that here, that those actions aren't happening and those things are happening. If they are, that we deal with that internally. And, if we have bad police, we deal with the bad police. They got to go. And we got good police. We support the good police. And I don't think you'll get an argument from any police officer on that. We want the good police to be out here doing the right thing for the right reasons. And it starts with that. And I think it starts with the leadership of the department, and whatever my stance is and how we're going to do policing is going to be the example of what is pushed down to the troops and what is expected. And so if you want to be a supervisor here, if you want to move up the ranks in this police department under my leadership, then there's things that I value, and I value the community engagement and us, and I tell officers all the time, treat people like you want your mother to be treated, and you're never going to have a problem. And that's what we need to do. Policing just needs to go back to the basics of being out in the community. You have police officers that used to walk a beat, right? The communities have become larger. So can we truly walk a beat? Maybe not. But we can get out in our cars and we can stop and say hi, and we can talk to people, and we can get out and shoot basketball with the kids, and we can throw the ball, and you see a senior, stop and talk to them and just really be engaged. And I think we're going to start moving in a new direction. It's easier for me and you to talk if there's a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that translates throughout the community.
And last thing before we get to audience questions, is there anything that you put in place in Elgin? You come from Elgin. Is there anything that you did in Elgin that you think Peoria doesn't have that can benefit from what happened up there?
I think, and I say this, Peoria is very similar. I think this resident officer program is phenomenal. I'm a big proponent of it. I met with the Public Housing Authority today, and, I'm looking at in the future being able to put some resident officers in those areas also. And so I think it's just being open to new ideas. Sometimes you go to, you go to a department and you'll have a chief who's got this old mentality, and it's do what I say, and ain't really listening to what the officers' ideas are. They're the ones that are on the street. They're seeing certain things. And I think it's just being open to listen to your officers and listen to the community and pinpoint where those real needs are. And sometimes the best ideas in the police department don't come from this office or by my assistants or my command staff. They come from those officers who are on the street, that are out there working, that are day to day having communication with our public. I think it's just listening and being open to that and not having the chip on your shoulder. There's no ego here, right? We are all in this together. I purchased a home in Peoria. I close on that house tomorrow, God willing. So I'll be in my new house, and it's just it's being part of the community, being embedded here, and understanding that now I am part of this community, and I want to make it as best as I can.
That's what's up. Okay, we're gonna move into audience questions real quick before we hit the lightning round. So this question comes from Ray Flacco. He says, I witnessed a veteran officer harass a black man that he put in prison and taunt the man by telling his fellow officers that the man was a drug dealer. The man has done his time and is a law-abiding citizen. My question is, what actions or disciplinary actions will be in place for those officers who target black males and harass individuals only because of them knowing them by face or incident?
Those things are already in place, and there's an opportunity for, if there's a complaint, for somebody to come in and us review that complaint. I have an internal affairs officer here. And if there is a legitimate complaint that's coming through, please bring that complaint forward. We will look at it, investigate it. And I can't tell you specifically what the disciplinary actions is because that gets a little complicated, right? There's, is there a history in the past with this officer? There's other things. And so there are things in place, and the police department is open to take those complaints if there's any of those complaints that need to be taken.
All right. Ella Berry says, if you are going to implement community-oriented policing, are you going to enforce a policy in which the officers actually have to live in the communities they police?
You see, so that policy, again, this is where we get complicated. There's unions. If you don't know that, there's unions, and some of those things are up for negotiations. There is some new law that's changed where possibly the city could say officers from here on in have to live in the city. That those that are outside of the city have to be grandfathered in. I will say this question always comes up. I like living in the city. I've always lived in the city I worked in. I think there's tremendous value in that. But I don't think first of all, the word community-oriented policing for me, I don't even like to use it in the sense of that's a gimmick. Here's what we're doing. This has to be embedded in who we are. We need to become part of the fabric of the community, right? And that's just what it should be. It's not a term. This is just how we do business, and we are part of the community, right? And so there's many reasons officers don't live in the city, right? And I could explain this way. When my kids were small, my mother lived outside of town, right? And so the amount of hours that I worked, I still lived in town, but I'm giving you the example is that it was probably easier to live outside of town so somebody could watch my kids, because I had to leave at the middle of the night for a call. I had to do that. And so those are reasons. There's reasons where you might have a spouse in policing. A lot of couples are married to police officers, right? So, and you may have an officer that does live in the town that is mandated to live in that town because it might be a smaller town. They may be mandated. So now that game is in place, right? So you have to deal with that. And again, you may have parents that are older and you take care of them. And so there's many reasons. And I don't always think that because an officer doesn't live in town, it doesn't mean they're not invested. They spend hours upon hours in the city. They buy dinner, they buy lunch, they do all this stuff in the city or the city that they work in. And it does not necessarily mean they're not engaged. They put 20, 30 years into a city working 12, 14-hour days. So it is deeper than just that. And so we have to look at all of that.
This one comes from Aban Yamin Bey. He says, what do we do about the officers that are depriving people of their rights under color of law? And what does it mean to you to be a good cop?
I said it earlier. If you treat everybody like you wanted your mother to be treated, that's a good police officer to me. You shouldn't be treating your mother bad, right? And so maybe there are some people out there that ain't so good to their mom, but it is treating people right, understanding their rights, and just doing the right thing. Everybody, in policing, we're only dealing with a small percentage of people that are committing crimes, and everybody wants the people that are committing crimes to not commit crimes. And so we still need to treat people with respect. We need to understand their rights, and we need to do all those things. But we still need to enforce the laws that our people in our city want enforced. We still don't want gang violence. We still don't want drug dealing. We still don't want, sex offenses. We don't want these things in our community, and we need to enforce those, but being cognizant of not violating anybody's rights and treating people with respect. When you treat people with respect, even those that are committing crimes know, and they want to try to get out of it. But when you did it with respect, they still know that, okay, I have to deal with this but I still got treated with respect. And it's that. Tamika says, can we maybe go back to having the officer-friendly program in schools to let kids know that they care? Yes. And again, now that, the school, I'll be in conversation with the safety director, Boone, that's at the public schools. I know there's not school resource officers there, but yes, I have some meetings coming up in the near future. And I want to be able for us to get into the schools and really be able to engage, but not just at the schools, in the community. I think where the biggest impact is, let's get out in the community where they're at. And let's provide these resources and get in there and really build these relationships with these children and their families, not just the kids, but the kids and their families. And let's see and find out what the needs are.
And Devin Hawk says, what do you feel is the best attribute of our police department right now?
I will tell you, I've been very, very impressed with the hard work and dedication that I've seen from these officers. They take these cases, to heart. These homicides, these shootings, and they really are working hard. So their work ethic and dedication is tremendous. I've been in law enforcement 22 years. The knowledge that's here is tremendous. And so I'm very proud of what I've seen up to this moment. And again, if I see something I don't like, I'll be the first one to let them know. We're not going to do it that way. But up to this point, what I've been seeing and the things that I'm seeing, they're really working on these cases very hard. They take them personal. They don't want to see this violence either.
And last question before the lightning round, Lexi says, how do you plan to gain the trust of our community?
Just being out there, just being out in the community. And again, it starts from the leadership. And when the officers see that, I always say there's no job that's too big or too small for me. And so whatever it takes to demonstrate what I'm asking for, I can't ask for something that I'm not capable of doing, or I won't do, or I won't try. And so starting from me, it starts with me, is being out there in the community, being accessible to the community, listening, and not just really listening. You got 2 ears, 1 mouth. really listening to what they have to say, digesting that, and then finding that remedy and continuing to have that communication and being transparent with the community. And I think that's how we're going to get where we need to get.
All right, cool. All right, we're going to hit the lightning round. So you've seen the lightning round before.
I don't know if I've seen it, but let's go through it.
Okay. Okay. So look, rapid fire questions.
Let's go.
So yes, no, left, right, up and down, east, west, north, south, or rapid fire answers. So yes, no, like I mentioned before, but you might have one that give you a little sentence, you know what I'm saying? Just get it out there. What I'm going to do for you, because you're new to Peoria, we're going to do you a favor. We're going to give you, I'm going to give you a little bit over a minute. Usually people get a minute. I'm going to give you a minute 45. Minute 45. We're going to see if we can make it.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's get in there. All right, now these are gonna be lightning round questions, but you're a police officer, so we got to find out what's good. We got to see what's good.
Okay,
You ready?
let's go.
Boom. What's your best skill?
Talking.
Why did you want to be a cop?
I didn't.
We got to talk about that later. How long have you been a cop?
22 years, 22 and a half.
Have you ever been arrested?
No.
Do you have any homies locked up?
Yes.
Interesting. You ever smoked weed before?
No.
Okay. We got to see. How many pair of Jordans you got?
I got to count.
Over 50?
No. I don't think I have over 50.
Okay, but how many pair of shoes total you got?
Probably over 50. I don't know.
Okay. If you could be better at something, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Can we come back to it?
Okay. Favorite rapper?
Ooh, a Biggie.
Okay. Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Jordans or Yeezys?
Jordans.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Heartbreak Ridge.
Prince or Michael Jackson?
Ooh, Did you
It
get
sound
that?
like you already chose. It sounds like both of them. No.
Right here. You didn't see the hand. You didn't see the hand.
Okay.
Come on, you missed that. You missed it now. Prince. I like him both.
I heard
I like them
it.
both. That's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Prince on that one.
Okay. You want to feel okay? Lion King or Aladdin?
Ooh, I like Lion King.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
And math or science?
Science.
Okay, and I got to get this one in because I ask everybody, man, do grits take salt or sugar?
Ooh, they take salt.
Salt? Okay, you one of them. Okay. All right. I was finna cut you off, but you can stay on. I was finna mute your mic.
What would I want to do better? I want to have more patience. I was just telling my wife that I need more patience. Sometimes I'm in a hurry and we got to go and I just need to slow down a little bit. And I at least owe that to my wife. Like I got to have more patience. I think she'd agree with me on that. I'm working on that.
Got you. And lastly, we spoke offline, and I'll let you pick one. You got some stories, man. You lived a heck of a life up until this point. You're still a young man. I want to hear about being on a music video set with Jay-Z and R. Kelly. Jay-Z and R. Kelly. How you get in the same room as Jay-Z and R. Kelly?
Well, they weren't. I was there with their buses.
Okay.
I was so for the Best of Both Worlds tour. There was a video that was going to be shot. There was going to be the opening video to the concert. And so the concept was two buses being chased and they eventually come together. And so the video, I'm chasing Jay-Z's tour bus and we literally, streets are blocked off and we are flying down these streets in these two tour buses and they were their tour buses and we're flying and then they merge together. And basically what happens when you go to the concert, the tour buses show up on the stage, right? They see this video, they hear us talking, I'm chasing this bus, and then they merge onto the stage, and that's where the artists come out on stage and do the show.
Man, bro, you got more stories. I encourage anybody, man, if you run into Eric, ask him about J-Lo and everything else, man. Man got stories, man. He got stories.
Well, it wasn't J-Lo. That one was Eva Longoria.
I knew I was close.
It was a different Latina.
Okay, I knew it was something. I knew it was something.
Yeah,
Hey, listen, man, we definitely appreciate you coming on to Rap Politics, courtesy of Peoria Journal-Star. We appreciate you coming to Peoria. We look forward to working with you in the future. I think I speak for everybody with that, and I think I speak for the whole community where I say we want to see you do well. So,
thank you.
Best of luck for you on that. And of course, if you watch Rap Politics, you already know we brought to you by Sherman's, where they carry the best in furniture, mattresses, and appliances. And they're also hiring. Sherman's one of the few places left in town that doesn't care about your education. They just promote people that work hard, have a good attitude, and follow their core values. One of the few places that hard work gets recognized and gets you ahead. You can log on to shermanscareers.com to check out their openings and apply online. And also brought to you by Terry Shepard, a real estate consultant whose values are rooted in customer care and service. She can help you negotiate your next deal and get you into a home that fits. She's with Remax Traders Unlimited and can be reached at 309-361-4592. And I use it myself. Eric, man, I'm about to get your last name right. I'm about to practice. I'm about to, next time I see you, man, I'm going to be straight.
All right.
Be straight, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.